And our guest is Dave Mustaine from the mighty Megadeth. Dave, it's good to see you.
You too. Thanks, brother.
Hey, you know, it's been a while. Last time I saw you, I was down in Nashville. It was so great. You invited me down. We did a thing for the Recording Academy where you were showing a bunch of musicians how you wrote your riffs throughout the years. That was a cool time. Did you have fun doing that?
I did. You know, I like sharing stuff like that. It's better than having it taken from me.
Can we talk about the fact that you've got this live stream coming up from Budokan? It's called They Only Come Out at Night. And I thought about the Edgar Winter Group album with Frankenstein on it. You know what I
Of course you would. Of course you would.
You know me. I'm like a total music geek and I love the rock. But I love that name. So immediately I was drawn to that. Talk to me about playing Japan. Has that always been a great territory for you to play?
It's a great territory for anyone to play. Yeah. The lifestyle, the culture, it's very different from what how we live over here in the States. And no, of course, things have changed over the years. I've been going there for 30 years, but you know, it's a really fascinating place to go. Any musician that hasn't had a chance to play and perform for the Japanese audience, you are missing out. It's different. It's all I can say is different.
I have to think in the history of rock and roll, right? The term live at Budokan, you know, has such a great stature with so many great records. What's it like to, you know, have your name associated with that in such a legendary venue, you know?
It's you know, when I grew up listening to music like bands like Cheap Trick, you know, of course, that's from a long time ago. They had live at Budokan, you know, the Judas Priest did Unleashed in the East. You know, there's so many bands. I think Deep Purple did
live in Japan. Yep.
Made in Japan, right?
Made in Japan, forgive me.
With Highway Star.
Yeah, there's so many great records that were made over in Japan, and you know, I think a lot of it, sometimes when you get out of your comfort zone, you tend to play a little better. You have to try a little harder. I don't know what that elicits in me. For other musicians, they may not feel the same way, but I think when I'm in a territory where people don't know me, I try harder. When we played in China the very first time, the security were soldiers. They weren't just normal dudes with security written on their back, and they were sitting in the barricade, fully dressed in their uniforms, and they wouldn't even move their feet to tap to the music. They were frozen in place, ready to just pummel the insurrectionists.
Well, definitely at Incarceration Festival, you won't see the security guards standing still because they like to get involved with the crowd and they're so awesome. That's one thing I always take from Incarceration in Mansfield, Ohio. And you guys are going to be playing it, and it's at a prison. So tell me, Dave, have you ever been to prison before? Have you ever been arrested?
Yeah.
So have I, so don't feel bad, Dave.
For longtime Megadeth fans, you announced this week that Marty Friedman is going to be performing with you guys in Japan. And how'd that all come about? And, you know, are you excited to welcome him back to share a stage?
Of course, I'm excited to share the stage with them. You know, the whole part of Marty playing music with Megadeth was a decision that I made because of his talent and his ability, and in the same token, Kiko is that same caliber of a guitar player. So when I had thought about this, it wasn't anything about you know, there's any insecurity whatsoever with Kiko. I love Kiko. He's the guitar player in Megadeth, and the thing with Marty had come up a while ago before I met Kiko. I had talked to him, and we had talked about trying to do the Rest in Peace reunion, if you recall that.
Right.
We haven't spoken really for quite some time, and you know, the idea of, you know, there are two kinds of musicians. There are people who jam, and there are people who don't. And I'm a don't, right? Marty is a jam, and so is Kiko. Kiko's a jam. I'm a don't. You know, the reason being is I'm self-taught. So if you go start playing Take 5 by Dave Brubeck, I'm going to say, well, I can do that song because I can't count to 8 very well. But, you know, as far as reading sheet music, I can't do that. Now, those guys are from a different caliber, and they get to, they're going to have just as equally, I think, an enjoyable time talking guitar talk backstage. You know, and we've done this with a lot of other players that have come out to see us because, you know, Kiko's playing has elicited a lot of attention from the musos, the same way that Marty did when he was in the band too. We're gonna be playing a few songs, probably most notably Tornado of Souls, because that's I believe Marty's most famous solo. That's my Holy Wars is Marty's Tornado. And we might do a couple more songs. We're planning on 2 or 3, and hopefully 3. And I'm going to leave that to Kiko and Marty to discuss who's going to play, you know, what parts in the harmonies, you know, because when there's 2 lead guitar players playing at the same time, since Kiko's used to playing that part, he would be switching to my part.
Right.
And then Marty would play his own part. So there's a little bit of some musical chairs there, which I was really good at in school. Believe it or not. But I think they're going to have a fun time sorting that out. And yeah, we didn't want to tell anybody because we wanted it to be a surprise to the fans in Japan. And there, Budokan was there was a ticket count that came in on Monday, and we looked at the ticket count, and it was fantastic for us. You know, we've never sold out Budokan. We've never played there. So, you know, that in itself was remarkable to be able to share with the fans, you know, hey, we've got this surprise for you. Also, besides you getting to see us, we're going to give you another little spiff, so to speak. I think that's going to be great because it wasn't like we came out of the gate and say, you know, hey, we're going to be playing and we're bringing a whole bunch of other different musicians because we're old and tired and shit. So, you know what I mean?
Well, I think it's such a great gift, as I said, for longtime fans. And you're talking about some of those great songs like Holy Wars. You know, our show is mostly a countdown video show, and I can't help but not mention all the incredible videos that you did, you know, over the years. And I think some of the most groundbreaking, you know, I think of Sweating Bullets and Peace Cells. These videos are so iconic. What was your sort of your fingerprints and stamp on those videos when you were going through that process of making all those classic videos?
Well, there's a couple different phases. In the beginning, I was pretty unaware of what the whole process was and kind of was learning as I went. It'd be really easy for me to say, oh, I fucking did it all because you know how many people there are in the music business that do that. I didn't do it all. I wanted to learn it all. And we had some really great directors that we worked with. Wayne Isham and Kurt Marvis was a great team that we did some videos with. Of course, you can't go without saying the videos that Penelope Spheris did. She was not only a remarkable video developer and director, producer, whatever. You know, her movies didn't do too bad either. Wayne's World.
Wayne's World, that little film, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, Decline and Fall of Western
yeah.
Civilization, those movies. And
yeah, picking me for the poster on that. I was so touched that she'd done that because I don't know if you remember, but there was that really groovy poster that they had, and it was looking up at me from the pit, and I was playing, and I had on this old jacket that had skulls hanging off it everywhere. And it's one of the only times I ever really wore that jacket because people would pull the skull heads off my arms. And, you know, I mean, you can't really do anything when you're hustling through a crowd and you feel some tug on you, you know, but yeah, that was really happy to see that we made the photo selection for the poster for that. You know, she's been really great with us. We did Wake Up Dead video. We did the In My Darkest Hour video. I think we did more than that too, if I remember right. We did the not Ain't Superstitious, the Alice Cooper song, No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, that one, the cover. Yeah, that's great.
I love your Ain't Superstitious cover, and I you know, would love to hear your thoughts because, you know, obviously we lost Jeff Beck recently, and his version of Ain't Superstitious on the first Jeff Beck group album is so so iconic. And I think I have to think, you're paying homage to that version. How is what was Jeff Beck an influence on your playing at all?
He was not an influence on my playing, but I really enjoyed listening to him because he was a Strat guy. I was not. He was mainly a field player with this tremolo, and made incredible sounds come out of the guitar. And I was just learning guitar at the time I heard him. When we were approached to do Ain't Superstitious, we had a manager at the time, and he goes, all right, and I went, oh, okay, I know that song. And he goes, yeah, man. I said, isn't that Rod Stewart? And he goes, no, that's Jeff Beck. Rod Stewart's singing. And I went, oh, okay, cool. I don't care. But see, the thing is, if it would have been Rod Stewart, I probably would have got a lot of crap from people instead of saying it's a Jeff Beck song. So thank God for small miracles, right? And what's really cool about that is, when I did the These Boots cover, Nancy Sinatra's camp, Lee Hazelwood's camp had sent something, one of them, who cares, said that I had turned the song into a vile and offensive song by changing the lyrics a little bit. And I wrote back to them my legal letter. I said, what's vile and offensive is that you cashed a check for 10 years before you wrote this letter.
That was a cool version of These Boots Are Made for Walking. That was
I love it.
It's fun. We did 2 copies of that. We did one for the record and we did one for the Dudes movie. Now, believe it or not, we recently discovered that master. It was floating around a studio on Topanga. And the reason that I said that about the covers was the Ain't Superstitious story had been, somebody had asked me, what do you think about the These Boots controversy? And I said, what's really great is that Willie Dixon had called me up after I had all this other crap from these guys, and he said, I like what you did to my song.
He's the guy. It's Willie's song.
Yeah.
That's class right there.
Yeah.
That's it. And Willie Dixon, if he says he likes your version of a song, I think that's all you need.
That's the bomb. Yeah, that's great.
For sure. And Dave, the Power Hour is a big part of bringing new upcoming hard rock to everyone out there. And I would love to know, are there any newer hard rock bands that you are personally listening to right now? Or do you have a record on repeat at this very moment?
Well, I can tell you, I just got news from a friend of mine named Patrick Scott, who I've known from back in the Metallica days, and he had said, "Hey, blah blah and blah, just quit." And I said, "Really?" Because there's 4 people in the band. They were talking about this band, and he said those 3 guys quit. And I said, well, it's kind of like firing the front man without having to fire the front man, right?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it was a band that I really dug called Mustache from Sweden.
Yeah.
And I guess they're going to be no more. I hope not. I hope they can reconcile things and get back together, because they were a good band. But again, alcohol being the rapacious creditor took down, another great band. So
who knows? Maybe they will see this interview and go, guys,
yeah,
come on, we're gonna make another record. We're going into the studio.
Yeah, it sounds great.
We let down Dave.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead, your last studio album, great record. Talk to me about how much was it fun to get back in the studio? Did it feel great to get back in there and record another album? And do you enjoy doing the recording as you always did?
It was really tough this time because of the cancer, and the pandemic and everything was enough for us all to have to deal with, and getting cancer on top of that, it was just kind of the cherry on the top, and I was feeling, kind of a little bit detached from myself for a little while, and I need to get into that place of uncomfortability to write good, because when I'm feeling comfy, I don't really push myself. When I'm feeling angry or agitated or things aren't going my way, I start to feel out of place, and that place is where I feel like I create my most intense music, because I'm like a person that if you bump me, at that moment, I don't know what's going to come out. And I love that because, you know, we could be watching something out the window of a car or the television for that matter and have something pop up, and the next thing you know, there's a song out of it. The thing on The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead with the song Mission to Mars, I give you a guess on how that song was inspired. It was about Mars.
Yeah.
It's a song on our new album, and it's
Yeah.
about these guys that are going to Mars, and they see this development up there, and they find a time capsule and find out that we actually first inhabited Mars, and we left Mars to go move to Earth. And now that we inhabited Earth, we thought we were going to Mars, but we find out, oh shit, we've already been here.
I love
And they
that.
came there first. That's incredible. Yeah.
Right. So now, what do you think the inspiration was for that? It had
Oh,
nothing to do with
All the insanity that's been going on in our world
Yeah.
over the last few years. I mean, it's
I was
just.
gonna say Planet of the Apes.
good.
I don't really know.
He Andromeda Strain. Remember all those old movies that were great? Like anything
Yeah,
that's
wasn't
sci-fi.
that one? Wasn't that one? It was in the
Total-
news.
Total
about
Recall?
Last 5 years in the news.
Was it the
Oh,
Mars rover thing?
No, but it had to do with space. It had to do with
Elon Musk?
yes.
Yeah. Was it the fact that people were
I got
were
there
spending
eventually.
all that money to go up there into the sky?
I already said something about that many, many years ago when I was on the radio in Houston, and I had said I thought it was a joke that they were spending $15 million to spend a Japanese professor up into space to blow bubbles.
Oh my
when-
God.
Well, shit, I don't care. You know, it's
Yeah.
got my First Amendment right. So I had said that, and a wife of a astronaut heard me, and they called up and said, "Hey, you know, we want to give you a tour of NASA to show you that we're not wasting time." So I went there, right, and I'm cruising around by myself, and we go to where Skylab is, where the modules are, and I said, "So what's the difference between these three?" They said, "Oh, they're all three different manufacturers," and I said, "Well, do they fit together?" And they said, "No," and I grabbed my jacket and I go, "Are you getting this?" And they swooped on me. They swooped on me and said, "You're not recording this, are you?" I said, "Of course not. I was kidding around." But
Oh my
yeah,
Wow.
so the thing with the song Mission to Mars came because Elon Musk had shot a Tesla up into space. And I said, the only thing missing was one of my Gibson Flying V's in the front seat. You know, would have loved to have done that, to put a nice bright red Dave Mustaine guitar in there and shoot it off into space. And of course, we were thinking about asking him to be in a video for that song, but we're probably going to do it with Legos and save some money.
Yeah, but that, you can really make people look like other people with Legos these days.
No, I've seen some
Yeah.
Lego videos that are fantastic. And I got to say, shout out to your recent involvement with Gibson and your partnership. Those guitars are stunning and gorgeous. And I love all the work you're doing and the video
Thank you.
series you guys put out. It's so classy and so well
Yeah.
done. And like I said, that Flying V is so iconic, right? So
It's amazing.
I know we can't wait to see you in prison this summer
Yes.
with that
I
Flying
don't like
V.
how that sounds.
No, yeah. That's not going to happen.
Don't
We're not
drop-
gonna happen.
don't
You'll
drop
be
the soap.
outside the prison.
Make sure-
Outside the prison, I promise.
Yeah. We'll hang
Right.
out outside of the prison. We won't go in there and be held prisoner of any sort.
We'll have a
It'll be fine.
conjugal visit. It's going to be
Yes.
lovely.
You know what's worrying me is you know too many words about sex in prison.
I watched a
He
lot of
does.
Oz back in the
Yeah,
day.
sure you did.
Hey, Dave, I've got to ask you, I remember going to your house in Phoenix and your studio in the back there. And I love those two dogs. You had those Mastiffs, those Presa Canarios, which were
Yeah.
such incredible dogs. And I don't think people realize how massive those dogs are, but they're beautiful. Do you still have pets at this point in time?
You know what? I think you would be ashamed if I told you what our pets are now. Of course, we've got these beautiful, majestic, gigantic black show horses, but we've got these
Oh.
teeny little lumps of fur called Chihuahuas now.
There you go. You went from
Oh.
the biggest dog of all time.
You
'Cause really,
downsized.
the
In
Mastiff.
the move.
No. I didn't go from the biggest to anything. I'm still at the biggest. I'm just
Yeah.
married.
Yeah.
Okay, so is
I
there
love that.
is there an animal that you have always wanted, but others have just told you absolutely not?
An elephant.
Yeah.
I love elephants.
Damn! Could you imagine Dave
Yeah,
just like in
Dave-
his backyard? He's like, "Hey, folks!"
I know.
He's on an elephant.
My girlfriend wants a giraffe. Seriously. I mean, she loves them.
Awesome. Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining us. It's so good to catch up. We loved having you on the show. We can't wait to see you
too.
live this year. Congrats on, and hope, obviously best of luck on the show in Japan. We hope it's a huge victory. We can't wait to watch it next week on the live stream.
Yeah.
Live from Budokan.
Yeah. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Great.
All right,
Thanks so much.
Have a great weekend.